Hey, how's it going? This is a cinema review, and I'm going to be reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming, the spoiler version. So if you've seen this movie, just gonna go over some notes of it. If you haven't seen the movie, this may not be for you. I do have the non-spoiler version. Otherwise, hear me out. So as you know, the movie starts off before the credits, where it shows Adrian Toomes and his men about to clean up the wreckage from the events of the Avengers when the aliens attack. Well, he gets bombarded, of course, by the government, and he loses a lot of money. Somehow this triggers him to become a villain, because he found the Chitauri alien technology to build himself a vulture suit and build some other weapons too. Now, I thought the movie was interesting because of his lackeys. You have a couple shockers. One he accidentally kills, and then the other shocker steps in. And then you also have the Tinkerer. He's kind of a lesser known Spider-Man villain, but that's who he is in the movie, the Tinkerer. And there is a henchman named Matt Hagen. Now, if you know your comics well, you know Matt Hagen becomes Scorpion, and it's kind of evident so because he has a scorpion tattooed on his neck. Wink. Michael Keaton does a very good job playing Vulture, of course. He's always great in what he does. Even years of his acting, he still has it. Now, the thing about Michael Keaton is he's a hilarious guy, but when he needs to be serious, he's actually pretty intimidating. And then, of course, you do have Peter Parker, Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland. And yes, he is as entertaining as he was in Captain America Civil War. I will give him that. I'm not sure if I really like my Spider-Man being full of wonderment and joy, but it's kind of like if you were to put yourself in his shoes, like if Avengers actually existed here in New York, and you're just experiencing the wonderment of reality. By the way, I'm sorry about the background noise. I'm recording in my room, and I got loud-ass roommates. Whatever, they got company. Yeah, I swear, everything always comes back to alien technology of the Chitauri, though, right? My biggest problem with the Vulture in this movie is that he's no different than any other Spider-Man villain that we've ever gotten in the past. Problem with a lot of these Spider-Man villains is that they're really too technological. More technology and power suits than actual villains. Let me explain. In the comics, the Vulture, Adrian Toomes, he's rich, he's a billionaire. Unlike in this movie, he's financially well off, but he's not rich. But he hates the rich people and the powerful because it's that whole, like, poor guy wanting revenge against upper class. Okay, I can live with that. But in the comics, Adrian Toomes is a billionaire himself. And the movie deviates from the fact that here he's just flying around trying to gather more technology. In the comics, the Vulture is an old man who has this power tablet that he programmed into his suit. So when he touches people, he gets to revitalize himself, making himself young again, and making whoever he touches really old. Not in this movie, though. That doesn't happen. Tom Holland, again, he's great. He's a fun kid to watch as Spider-Man. The only problem is he is a kid. But he knows how to be very quippy, like Spider-Man should be. If I dare say, I think they're trying to make Spider-Man the Deadpool that they can get their hands on. Meaning he's jokish and full of one-liners and a smart-ass to the bad guys. Kind of like Deadpool is, except for since they can't get Deadpool and they would never dare make Spider-Man be R-rated. That's as close as Deadpool they'll get their hands on. And that's fine. The characters that are the supporting roles, another movie where you don't get J. Jonah Jameson. It's almost as if they couldn't get J.K. Simmons to be J. Jonah Jameson because this is technically a soft reboot, so they just decided not to get J. Jonah Jameson or the Daily Planet. There is a young Betty Brant who is actually a reporter at the high school, and then you do have Liz Allen. She is going to be the love interest of the movie. She's fine, but Spider-Man seems to have a type, right? He loves the intellectual girls. Except for Mary Jane, though, in the comics. She's the most ditzy-its girl he's ever had. Flash Thompson in the movie is not a jock bully, he's a rich, spoiled bully. And I'm not understanding why he would be a bully to Peter Parker, because in this school, there is no Harry Osborn. The best friend is Ned. And I think that's more from the newer comics. I'm not too savvy, honestly. Nowadays, most of my comic knowledge is from, well, basically it's just from what I learn online. Ned is... He has his funny moments, but it's kind of annoying because he knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but yet he tries to push every way of trying to milk the fame as much as he can. And I get it, realism, but no one really likes that trope. Marissa Tomei is fantastic as Aunt May. I mean, different than the Aunt May we know. As we can tell from the last couple versions of her, she's getting younger and younger. That's okay. I never really understood why Peter Parker's Aunt May is like grandmother age in the first place, so it makes sense that Marissa Tomei is May in this movie. What can I say about this movie? It does have Iron Man in it. He's kind of like the mentor of Spider-Man, just making sure he takes care of the small local crimes that is beneath Avenger level, but above the police level. And it makes sense to me, honestly, you know. I don't like the idea that Spider-Man has a electronic suit that talks to him. The suit has different versions of web shooters and web tasers, and the spider emblem actually crawls and monitors things for him, and the suit talks to him, and the voice is Jennifer Connelly, which is kind of cute considering the fact that she was Betty Ross in the very original, well, not original, but the very first Hulk movie in 2002 or 3. I just don't like that Spider-Man is getting too much help, though. I don't like the suit talking to him. I like the idea that Spider-Man can make his own suit. He's supposed to be a genius. In the movie, it does show that he creates his own web, and that's great. I like the fact that he has even a hiding spot, and his hiding place is a bunch of lockers because he's strong enough to lift the lockers and put things underneath. Fun fact, by the way, though, as I mentioned in the non-spoiler version, the high school is actually located right down the block from my old neighborhood, where I filmed the Anthonyx Maximus series. And another fun fact, it's the same high school that Mob's boss James Gotti went to. I don't know, I just wanted to point that out. So we see the adventures of Spider-Man through from Queens into Washington, D.C., and back to New York on the Staten Island ferry, and the movie has that whole police drama. You know what I'm talking about. The whole, oh, you're supposed to do the smaller stuff. Oh, but I see a bigger threat, so I'm not going to do the smaller. You know the trope I'm talking about. Your mission is to take care of the smaller crimes. But the smaller crimes become bigger, and it needs my help. Stay in your jurisdiction. No, you disobeyed me. You're loose cannon. I'm taking away your suit. No! It's for your own good. Then I'm going to save the day myself. You went behind my back and saved the day. But I'm giving you back the suit. You're back on the force. Cool! And that's pretty much the movie right there. You see, Spider-Man tries warning about the impending dangers to Iron Man, but it seems like he's not really listening. But it turned out he was. And he gets his suit taken from trying to stop Adrian Toomes on the Staten Island ferry. And it's weird because the climax of the movie, the ending is at the homecoming dance, which he splits from, leaving his date Liz Allen behind to fight the Vulture. And the final battle is him wearing his own suit that he made before he met any of the superheroes. And it's kind of sweats and goggles, nothing really too impressive, but whatever. I thought it was an interesting twist, though, that the fact is Liz Allen in this movie happens to be Adrian Toomes' daughter. Just different last name for some reason. Totally different from the comics, but I liked the twist because now his enemy is the father of his love interest. And this is another one where no villain dies except for the first Shocker because he was accidentally killed by the Vulture. As we can see from the mid-credit scene, they're trying to set up the Sinister Six story. And that's fine, as long as Michael Keaton is the villain that leads them because he was very intimidating as the Vulture. As I said in the non-spoiler version, these Marvel movies are very formulaic. It's really optimistic heroes versus bland bad guys. Throw in some 80s rock music in a background, and that's a Marvel movie. And that's not a complaint, it's more of an observation. Because DC Comics, they have their own formula too. Their heroes are there, and they're enjoyable, but the villains are more fun in this case. There's no real rock music, except for Suicide Squad. It's usually just bleak music, and the tone is bleak, not very optimistic. So Marvel and DC has their own design, I will say that. I am pleased with the fact that at the very end, the last scene when Peter Parker gets his costume and he tries it on, Aunt May sees him in costume and she is about to flip out and then cut to credits. Finally, a Spider-Man movie where Aunt May knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Yeah, in the Sam Raimi trilogy, you can only speculate that Aunt May knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man, the way she tried to give him little life lessons that weren't related to Spider-Man but could easily be related to Spider-Man, but it's only speculation. Here, we get the full proof. Because in the comics, Aunt May ultimately does find out Peter Parker is Spider-Man. She's not pleased about it, but eventually she warms up to it, becoming his #1 fan. There's a character in this movie named Michelle. She's kind of an oddball. She is very cynical, acts like she doesn't care, but you could tell it's one of those girls that throw that whole cynicism but secretly cares. And in the end, she says, "My friends call me MJ," as in alluding to Mary Jane Watson, which makes no sense because MJ stands for Mary Jane, not Michelle. These movies just don't like to tell us characters are characters. They like to throw us off. And it's not necessary. Come on, you don't have to do that for us. You're not really surprising the fans, and you're just confusing the average movie goer. So just stick to what you know, alright? Just stick to what's previously written. Doesn't have to be 100%. Like I said, I like the Adrian Toomes, Liz father thing, but don't go too crazy about that. Take it easy. Throughout the film, you also get to see Captain America. He makes appearances as someone on videotapes in gym class and in detention. And it's funny, and the movie does, as you know, have the mid-credits and the post-credits, the mid-credits alluding up to the Sinister Six. The end credits, the post-credits, I should say, is Captain America talking about learning the virtue of patience, even though when you finally reach what you're waiting for, it doesn't have the full build-up, or it doesn't stand up to what you have built up in your mind. And it was a cute little joke, because here we all are sitting in a theater waiting for a big scene, and it's just him saying that. So Marvel's become self-aware. Random notes, I do like that Pepper Potts came back, because if you remember from Captain America Civil War, it sounded like they broke up. But in this movie, it seems like they got back together, and they're about to announce an engagement, because they were about to announce Spider-Man being part of the Avengers, but he said no to that. So their backup was announcing Tony Stark and Pepper Potts' engagement. Alright, cool. Ultimately, I'm gonna give this movie, as I said in the non-spoiler, a B+. B+ because it was a great movie. It was fantastic. It made watching Spider-Man fun again. But only a B+ because it's not as great as people want to say it is. I think people are loving it because it's Spider-Man in a Marvel Studios produced movie. But because it's formulaic and they made some weird decisions with side characters and deviating from the comics, that's why I'm keeping it at a B+. It's a fun movie, and when it comes out on Blu-ray, I will buy it. But otherwise, I'll just wait until it comes out. I don't see myself going back in the theater and watching it again. And I've said that sentence before, and I've done the opposite, so who knows. But yeah, B+. Thank you very much for watching. Have yourself a good one.